Good day, sir. This is our report of Group 4. Title, Lesson 4, Enterprise Resource Planning System and Business Process Models. Introduction. Enterprise Resource Planning (ERP) software is the backbone of most business, allowing them to manage data across all departments. It aids in the administration of company-wide business operation and the usage of a shared database and management reporting tools. In this lesson, enterprise resource planning system and business process models will be tackled to provide a broader perspective for students to deeply understand system integration. Most firms rely on enterprise resource planning (ERP) software, which enables them to manage data across all departments. It facilitates the use of a common database and management reporting tools, as well as the management of all business processes throughout the entire organization. Enterprise resource planning system and business process models will be covered in this class to provide students a more comprehensive understanding of system integration. Next, at lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students must be able to 1. Identify the key role of ERP in business function. 2. Understand how ERP works in the functional areas of operation and business processes. And last, 3. Define the functional areas of IS and enterprise system architecture. Next, discussion. Business processes are a set of actions that take an input and turn it into a useful output for the client. An ERP system primary job is to assist business function. To comprehend ERP, one must first comprehend how a firm operates. It's usually broken down into operational and business process functional categories. A series of operations known as business processes take an input and transform it into a valuable output for the client. The main function of an ERP system is to support business operations. To understand ERP, one must first understand how a business runs. It is typically divided into functional, operational, and business process area. Marketing and sales, supply chain management, accounting and finance, and human resources are all functional areas of operation. Business function, on the other hand, include activities specific to functional area to operation. Functional aspects of operation include marketing and sales, supply management, accounting and finance, and human resources. On the other hand, business functional involve tasks unique to a functional areas of activity. Next. Here the ERP modules or Enterprise Resource Planning modules. Under ERP, meron tayong sales, marketing, master scheduling, shop floor control, accounts payable, logistic, purchasing, BOM or bill of materials, and MRP and CRP. Yan po yung mga nakapaloob sa ERP. ERP vendors such as SAP, Oracle, and Microsoft offer modules that support a company major functional areas. The ERP software incorporates best business practices that use business rules to implement the organization's policies and procedures. Next. Nasaan na ba? In the last comparison of ERP modules vendors, we have 4 tables. And the last, The comparison of ERP modules from vendors, we have four tables here. Meron tayong functions, SAP or system application and products, Oracle or PeopleSoft and Microsoft Dynamics. At base sa ating table, dito makikita natin ang function ni sales na may SAP na una sa sales, sales and distribution, sales opportunity, marketing and sales, supply chain management. Sa Microsoft Dynamics niya naman, retails, POS, field service management. Sa procurement, sa SAP niya, purchasing supplier relationship management. Sa Oracle or PeopleSoft niya naman, procurement and supplier relationship management. And sa Microsoft Dynamics niya, supply chain management. Sa production, sa SAP niya, MRP or product life cycle management. Sa Oracle PeopleSoft niya naman, manufacturing. And sa Microsoft Dynamics, manufacturing. Sa accounting naman, sa SAP niya is financial accounting. Sa Oracle PeopleSoft niya is financial accounting pa rin. And sa Microsoft Dynamics, financial accounting. Sa distribution, sa SAP niya is warehouse management. Sa Oracle PeopleSoft is supply chain management. At sa Microsoft Dynamics is distribution management. Sa customer service, ang SAP niya is CRM. Ganon din sa Oracle or PeopleSoft. Tsaka sa Microsoft Dynamics, pare-parehas lang sila. Sa corporate performance and governance naman is yung SAP niya is governance, risk and compliance management. Sa Oracle PeopleSoft niya naman is ganun na ulit, corporate performance management. Tsaka sa Microsoft Dynamics niya is analytics. Sa human resources naman, ang SAP niya is human capital management. Sa Oracle PeopleSoft, human capital management. And sa Microsoft Dynamics niya is HR management.
How ERP modules works, marketing and sales. Function of marketing sales modules in ERP includes purchasing and marketing products, determining pricing, promoting products to customers, talking customers, or others, helping create a sales forecast, customer support, and customer relationship management. The marketing and sales modules need information from all others functional area of customers, communicate others via marketing and sales in persons by telephone, emails, fax, the web, etc. And number 2, supply chain management. The functional within supply chain management includes making the product, manufacturing, production, buying raw materials, purchasing, receiving goods and raw materials, transportation and logistics, scheduling, production of products, and plant maintenance. Yung number 2, supply chain management. Ang example nito is yung Shopee Shop, yung online. Kung makikita nyo, doon sa functional na yon, merong pwede nyo i-chat kung yung tao pag-orderan nyo. Example na rin natin yung online o yung online selling. Sa Facebook lang, di ba, meron. Ang example nun, to raw materials, suppliers, manufacturing, distribution o retail location to customers. Dito yung pag nag-usap kayo, pag nagkasundo kayo, ayun, doon na gagalaw yung supply chain management para maklaim niyo siya. Or dahil nga din sa raw materials, suppliers, manufacturing, distribution, retail location to customer. So number 3, accounting and finance. Accounting and finance modules includes recording raw data about transactions including sales, raw materials purchase, payroll, and receipt of cash from customers, planning and budgeting, cost allocation, and control. And ito, supply chains management. A network between company and its suppliers to produce and distribute a specific product to sell final buyer. It includes different activity, people, entities, information, and resources. And number four, human resources. Human resources functional include recruit, trains, evaluate, and compensate employees, benefits, and government compliance. HR uses data from others modules to plan personnel development, but system integrated using ERP software provide the data sharing necessary between personnel areas. Ang example nito guys, yung resume, di ba? Doon makita niyo yung doon niyo makikita yung ano ng isang tao. For example, HR is the division of a business that is charged within filing, screening, recruiting, training job applicants, and administering employee benefits program. Yun nga guys, yung sa resume ng tao pag nag-apply sa isang doon makita mo na agad yung streaming training job applicants, administering employee benefits. Indagdag pa dun sa human resources, yung sa resume, dun yung employees, skills, research, training, performance, recruiting, leadership, potential, guys. Number 5, production. Help in planning and optimizing of the manufacturing capacity parts, component, and materials resources using historical production and sales forecasting. Function naman nito guys ng production is selection of products and its designs and production planning and control, location of facilities and machine maintenance and replacement, enhance goodwill and reputation of business, and help in expansion and growth. Ang important dito sa production is yung number 1, reduce the cost of production. Number 2, enable in introducing new products, assistant in facing competition, achievement of team's objectives, team expansion, and fuller utilization of resources. And number 6, purchasing. Streamlines the procurement process of required raw materials and other supplies. And ito guys, yung procurement management process ng purchasing is identify and planning, and choose and select supplies, negotiating the contract, and placing the first purchase orders, and accelerating the orders, receipt and inspection of purchase, clearing the invoice and payment, and maintaining relationship and records. Yun guys yung pinaka ng purchasing. So number 7, inventory management. Facilitate the process of maintaining the appropriate level of stock in warehouse. Ito guys yung the process of ordering, storing, using the selling company raw materials, component, and finished product. Ito ang pinaka-example ng inventory management. So, manufacturer orders to raw materials, produce to finished good, and tracking stores, warehouse, sales, and point of sale distribution and retailer. Yan. So, number 8, may dadagdag pa pala ako sa number 7 na sa inventory management. Is inventory management, stock review, to just-in-time ABC analysis, or economic orders quantity, or EOS view, minimum orders quantity, MOQ, safety stock, and recording point. So number 8, miscellaneous modules. Non-traditional modules such as business intelligence, self-service, project management, and e-commerce. Throughout the course of the implementation, several small utility procedures were right, which were not directly related to the aforementioned modules. These modules consist primarily of procedures that were right to take care of preventive tasks and to reduce code duplication. These miscellaneous modules in their description are presented in table. Several of the procedure in this module, several to extended exiting or TCL or TK functionality, while others implement so-called Mega widget, which augment the exiting widget set provided by TL needed to these modules. Files lcd.tcl and progress.tcl are generic enough to be integrated into application completely unrelated to this project. Next, component of the enterprise system architecture. A. Functional. Defines the ERP modules that support the various business functionals of the organization. Example include accounting, human resources, or procurement. At B. System. Defines the ERP architecture, the physical component of hardware, software, and networking angels. Enterprise system architecture. The architecture aids implementation teams in fully comprehending the enterprise system's features and components. It depicts the intricate system interface that exists between the ERP program and database operating system, legacy application, and networking if needed for system infrastructure training, change management, and business process beginning are clear management may design a strong IT plan. Three-tier architecture. A three-tier design consisting of web tier, an application tier, and a data tier is used in the majority of modern ERP installations. Benefits include number 1, scalability, easier to add, change, and removal application. And number 2, reliability. implementing multiple levels of redundancy. Number 3, flexibility. Flexibility in the partitioning is very simple. Number 4, maintainability. Support and maintenance costs are less on one server. Number 5, reusability. Easier to implement measurable component. Number 6, security. IT staff has more control system to provide higher security. However, it can be very expensive to accomplish. And TARS. Number 1, TARS web TAR. Web-based portal allow user the ability to access and analyze information through their web browser. And number 2, the applicant TAR. The applicant TAR consists of a web browser and reporting tools when business processes and user interact with the system. It shields the business user from the inner working of an ERP system but still provides the information relevant to their job and business process. And number 3, the data TARs. Data TARs focuses of structures of all organizations' data and its relationship with both internal and external system. Next.
So, before proceed the topic of three-tier architecture, so mayroon lang po konting itadagdag na definition about sa three-tier architecture. So, what is a three-tier architecture? A three-tier architecture is type of software architecture which compose three tiers or layers of logical computing. They are often used in application as specific type of client-server system. Three-tier architectures provide may benefits for production and development environment by modularizing the user interface, business logic, and data storage layers. Doing so gives greater flexibility to development teams by allowing them to update specific part of an application independently of the other's part. This needed flexibility can improve overall time to market and decrease development cycle times by giving development teams the ability to replace or upgrade independent tires without affecting the other parts of the system. So, sinasabi sa meaning dyan ay ang three-tier architecture ay isang uri ng software architecture na kung saan ginagamit sa lahat ng software development application sa isang business. So, sinasabi po dito that the three-tier architectures provide many benefit production and developmental environment. Kasi po, dito nagpapakita ng tinatawag na modularizing user interface. Now, sinasabi po dito that if you going use the three-tier architecture is much flexible in terms employment. Kasi po, nahahati ang isang system development or let's say business development into the three major parts focuses on tiers. Yun lang, ang focus ng isang specific part na yon. Kaya nga po hinati o isang development sa tatlo in order to make sure that the system development ay magkaroon po ng smooth development ang bawat isa at para din po ito hindi maging magulo at ang focus ng bawat isa. So, next topic, bago po tayo mag-proceed sa susunod. So sa screen makikita natin ang client application or server application, then yung application server and data source. So ang ating unang magiging topic dyan ay ang client application. So Ano nga po ba si client application? Si client server architecture is a model, a distributed application structure that portion tasks or workloads between the providers of a resource or service, called servers, and service requesters, called clients. And in other information po, ang client-server architecture ay i-server multiple clients at the same time, while client contact is in one server. So, meron tayo tinatawag na different types of client-server architecture. So, ang una is si one-tier architecture. The second is the two-tier architecture. At ang pangatlo ay si three-tier architecture. Ang main goal po ng ating three-tier client-server architecture is, ang una ay to separate the user application and physical database. Second, to support DBMS or database management system characteristics and program data independence and supporting multiple views of the data. So, tumako po tayo sa topic na yung one-tier architecture. So, si one-tier architectures involves putting all of the required components for a software application or technology on a single server or platform. This kind of architecture is often contrasted with multi-tiered architecture or the three-tier architecture that used for some web application and other technologies, where various presentation, business, and data access layers are housed separately. In other information po about sa one-tier architecture is also known po siya as, tinatawag po siya single-tier architecture. And basically, a one-tier architecture keeps all of the elements of an application, including the interface, middleware, and back-end data, in one place. Developers see these types of system as the simplest and most direct. So, siya daw po yung pinakasimple at mas direct. And that where client server and database has reside same machine, everything installed in DB in system on access into practice queries incident one-tier architecture. So, for example po ng one-tier architecture is sa paggawa po ng web application using Java programming language, kinakailangan po ito install caching server and MySQL database in our machine. To run web application, we don't need a extra physical server and database outside in computer. So next topic po natin is yung two-tier architecture. So, the two-tier is based on client-server architectures. The tier architecture is like client-server application. The direct communication takes place between client and server. There is no intermediate between client and server because of tight coupling. A two-tiered application will run faster. So, si two-tier architecture ay nahati sa dalawang parts. So, yun nga si client application o tinatawag na client tier. And the second one is the database or tinatawag na data tier. So, si two-tier architecture is that representation layer run on the client data store on server. This architecture's client requests data sources to server and server process that request. In one tier, server database work in is both tier, communicate with each other on through internet and any network. These structures queries easy to maintain and modified to communication between the client and server. form of request response and messages transfer is queries pass. Example of two-tier architectures. A few example of two-tier architecture is about the railway reservation system, contact management system that one can create with the MS Access. On client application side, the code is written for saving the data in SQL Server database. So another information about two-tier architecture is the software architecture in which presentation layer or interface runs on the client. And other kinds of multi-tier architectures add additional layers and distributed software design. And yung two-tier ay tinatawag din siya sa word na tier. It commonly refers to splitting the two software layers into the two different physical pieces of hardware. So, a multi-layer programs can be built on one tier, but because of operational preference, many two-tier architecture use a computer for the first tier and server for the second tier. So next topic is the three-tier architectures. The three-tier architecture is a client-server architecture in which the functional process logic, data access, computer data storage, and user interface are developed and maintained as independent modules on separate platforms. Then another information about the three-tier architecture is software design patterns and well-established software architecture. So other information about the three-tier architecture is allows any one of the three tiers to be upgraded or replaced independently. The user interface is implemented on a platform such as a desktop, PC, smartphone, or tablet as a native application, web application, mobile application, and voice interface, and etc. It uses a standard graphical user interface sa iba't ibang application server or sa module server. And another information din nang nakuha ko ay three-tier architecture is main goal na tawag. Separate the user application and physical database program data independence and support use multiple data. And example ni a three-tier architecture is yung the process of designing registration forms with buttons, labels, flexbox, and many more. So ngayon, dumako naman tayo ngayon sa application server. So application server is also known as the logic tier or middle tier. It's the heart of the application. In this tier, information collected in the presentation the tier is perceived sometimes against other information in the data tier ay ginagamitan ng business logic para maging specific ang gagawing business rules. So another information din sa the application is the data tier stores information application. tier. Handles logic and presentation tiers is a graphical user interface tinatawag GUI that communicates with the other two tiers. The three tiers are logical, not physical. Ayun. So, next topic is the data source. So, si data source ay describe how a database management system will be integrated with your application. When designing a database architecture, ay kinakailangan ay maging buong decision that will change your application that created. So, mayroon din tinatawag na types ang database. So, yung una ay si centralized database. And ang pangalawa ay si decentralized database. Centralized database are typically used for regular web application and will be the focus of this article. While si decentralized database such as the blockchain databases might require a different architecture.
ERP system components. So ano nga bang pinagkaiba ng system components of ERP? An ERP system composed of hardware, which is server and peripherals, software process, operating system, and database. Information, organizational data from internal and external sources. Process, business processes, procedure or policies. People, and user and IT steps. Next. ERP software. What is ERP software? ERP software centralizes and connects various business processes in one place. It's beneficial because it's a hub for a real-time historical data across business departments and functions. This centralization reduces time spent manually fueling data to send to business partners. Automating process simplifies business workflows, save times, boosts revenue, enhances productivity. ERP software and the ERP software is connected in server's operating system. Next po. Server and operating system. A server operating system, also called a server OS, is an operating system specially designed to run on servers, which are specialized computers that operate within a client-server architecture to serve the requests of client computers on the network. And you can develop server and operating system using Oracle, MS SQL, Sybase, DB2, and also servers and operating system is need a network. A network operating system is a computer operating system that is designed primarily to support workstation, personal computers like laptop, and some instances. Although terminals that are connected on the local area network or wide area network. The software behind NOS allows multiple devices within a network to communicate and share resources with each other. Network is connected to business human resources billing. Billing manufacturing na pinaliwanag po ni Nina.
Three-layer architecture. So, si three-layer architecture is para lang siyang si three-tier architecture. So, para silang magkamuka. So, bakit nga ba sila masasabing magkamuka? So, mamaya i-explain ko pa kung bakit Si 3-layer architecture and 3-tier architecture is parang magkaparehas lang. So 3-layer architecture is a well-established software application architecture that organizes application into 3 logical and physical computing layer. So dito po pumapasok si presentation layer, business logic layer, and database layer. So sabi ko nga po kanina, si 3-layer architecture and 3-tier architecture is parang magkaparehas lang. So what is the difference between tier and layer? A layer refers to a piece of software that are logically and separated but typically live within the same process and machine. A tier instead of refers to pieces of software that live in this process or domain, apps domains or machine. You can allocate a layer on a tier but not vice versa. So si layer daw po pwedeng i-allocate ni tier but si tier hindi pwedeng ma-allocate ni layer. So bakit nga po ba? Kasi si layer po is nakapaloob kay tier. Pero magkamukha sila ng process. Kaya masasabi natin na parang magkaparehas lang sila. So bakit nga ba? In discussion of 3-tier architecture, layer is often used interchangeably and mistakenly. 4-tier as in presentation layer and logical layer. They are the same. A layer refers to a functional division of the software, but entire refers to a functional division of the software that runs on is structural separate from the other division. So si tier daw po is nagra-run functional division of a software. But si layer, nagra-run siya sa functional division ni tier. Katulad na lang po ng contact apps on your phone for example. So paano nga po ba bakit nga po ba nasabing si tier at si layer is para magkaparehas lang? So what is the difference between tier and layer? A layer refers to a piece of software that are logically separated but typically live within the same process and machine. A tier instead of refer to the pieces of software that live in this strict process or apps domain or machine. You can allocate a layer on a tier but not vice versa. So si tier daw po, pwede niyang mai-allocate si layer, but si layer hindi niya pwedeng mai-allocate si tier. So bakit nga po ba? Because in discussion of 3-tier architecture, na pinaliwanag po ni Leonard Mark Gonzalez kanina, layer is often used interchangeably and mistakenly for a tier as in presentation layer or a business logic layer. They are not the same. A layer refers to a functional division of the software, but a tier refers to a functional division of the software that runs on in structure separate from the other division. So si layer po, para lang po siya yung contact, for example po, para po siya yung contact apps sa cellphone nyo. Na masabi nating 3-layer application. But in the tier, siya ay masasabing single tier application. Because the 3-layer application, all 3 layers are run on your phone. But si tier, nagra-run lang siya as a single tier application sa cellphone mo. So the presentation layer is the user interface and communication layer of the application, where the end user interact with the application. Its main purpose is to display information and to collect information from the user. So si presentation layer po is siya yung nagbibigay ng information sa user at the same times, kumukolect din po siya ng information from the user. This layer can run on the internet browser as a desktop application or a graphical user interface or GUI. Presentation layer are usually developed using HTML and JavaScript. So nagagawa po siya using HTML and JavaScript. Desktop application can be written in variety of language depending on the platform. Business logic layer. The business logic layer, also known as the middle tier. So sa tier, parang siya yung pinaka nasa gitna. Business logic layer. The business logic layer, also known as the middle tier. So sa three-layer application, tinatawag po siyang business logic layer. But in the three-tier architecture, siya yung pinaka-middle tier or nasa gitna. The business logic layer is the heart of the application. In this layer, information collected in the presentation is processed or nagpo-proceed dito. Sometimes, against other information in the database, using business logic or a specific set of business rules. The business logic layer can also add, delete, or modify data in the database. So, si business logic layer po is parang siya, sa kanya muna dumadaan lahat ng information na nakokolekt ni presentation layer bago mapunta kay database. Siya yung So, si business logic layer, sa kanya dumadaan lahat ng information or data na nakokolekt ni presentation layer bago mapunta kay database layer. Database layer. The database layer, sometimes called the database star. So, di ba parang magkamukha nga lang sila. Data access star or backend is where the information proceed by the business logic layer. So, lahat po ng information or data na nakukuha ni presentation layer is dumadaan muna kay business logic layer bago mapunta kay database layer. Si database layer, siya yung nagmamanage ng mga data information na nakukolekt ni presentation layer. This can be relational database management system such as Postgres SQL, MySQL, MariaDB, Oracle, DB2, Informix, or Microsoft SQL Server, or in a non-SQL database server such as Cassandra, CodeDB, or MongoDB. So yun nga po, lahat ng information or data na nakokolekt ni presentation layer is kailangan talaga magdaan kay business logic layer bago mapunta kay database layer. So bakit nga ba? Kasi hindi po pwedeng rumekta or mag-connect si presentation layer at database layer ng diretso. Kailangan talaga is dadaan muna siya kay business logic layer para ma-proceed kay database layer. So, para nga po din siyang si three-tier architecture na kailangan mo nang dumaan sa middle tier bago mapunta sa database tier. Yun lang po. Thank you.